Get your kicks, get 'em out on Route 66. Well, wine from Chicago to LA, more than 2,000 miles all the way. Come on, baby, get your kicks, get 'em out on Route 66. Let's work it up. Well, now go to St. Louis, Joplin, Missouri. Oklahoma City looks oh so pretty. We'll see Amarillo and Galveston, New Mexico. Like that Arizona, don't forget we're gonna walk in the money box. Don't let me find it on you. Get hip to this kindly kid. You're gonna make that California trip. Come on, baby, get your kid. I love you, 66. Missouri, Oklahoma City looks oh so pretty. We'll see Amarillo, the Gallatin, Mexico. Like down Arizona, don't forget what's on it. The kids burn a box, so don't forget Dixonville right down the street. Once I get here, put my time in the trip. You're gonna miss that California trip. Come on, baby, get your kids, get 'em out on Route 66. On Route 66. Yeah, just like that. One more song.
Thrill is gone.
We must be doing all right. They want one more.
Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for the St. Mary Rhythm and Blues virtual celebration. I hope you enjoyed our opening act from the Albert Miranda Project. They are just a stellar band. We're so thankful to have them here. Now, we wish we could be with you in person, and unfortunately, due to the COVID pandemic and social distancing guidelines, we want to protect you just as much as we want to protect ourselves. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for participating tonight in this celebration. I do want to share, we are broadcasting live from one of the most beautiful homes in the Valley. Larry Cusack and Trish Trumpler are here with me, and they're our hosts tonight. So thank you for having us. Any words you want to offer to our audience as we welcome them to this evening?
Well, thank you. St. Mary has been very important to our lives. I was actually born at St. Mary's Hospital in '57, so it's been very important. And I want to welcome everybody to our home. and enjoy the gala.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you guys for hosting us. Couldn't ask for a better view. And really, I think you brought the better weather too, because it's ideal.
It is beautiful,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, wonderful. Well, before we dive in, I have a couple notes that I'd like to make for this evening. First, people have asked me, why rhythm and blues? Why have you named it that? And we wanted to play on words because at the foundation, we are raising money this year to expand our cardiac service line. We're adding a service called electrophysiology that we will talk about in a little bit with our CEO, Randy. And so we thought we would have fun. We would plan the theme of the rhythm of the heart with the rhythm and blues music that I know I love. Second thing to note, as I mentioned a bit ago, we couldn't be with you this evening in person. And we're so sorry for that. We miss each and every one of you. But what I will say is even here, you'll notice that we've distanced our seats. We're wearing masks if we're not on camera, and everybody when they walked in was given a bottle of hand sanitizer. So we are truly doing our best to practice what we preach because we want to protect everybody's health, even in this type of event. Lastly, since we're not with you in person, we want you to still engage with us. To the right, I believe, on Zoom, you'll have a chat feature. If you want to comment, if you want to give a hands up, if you want to give a high five, or if you have questions, please engage with us. Let us know what you're thinking. We'd love to hear from you. While we might not be able to answer every question tonight, we will certainly get back to you as soon as possible. Now, it's our tradition at St. Mary's to start every meeting and gathering with a reflection. And so I have a poem that I thought would be really timely to share during this time, talking about withstanding challenges and finding inner strength that maybe we didn't know we had. And so I'd like to read this. It's titled The Oak Tree. It starts, a mighty wind blew night and day. It stole the oak tree's leaves away, then snapped its boughs and pulled its bark until the oak tree was tired and stark. But still the oak tree held its ground while other trees fell all around. The weary wind gave up and spoke, how can you still be standing, oak? The oak tree said, I know that you can break each branch of mine in two. Carry every leaf away. Shake my limbs and make me sway. But I have roots stretched in the earth, growing stronger since my birth. You'll never touch them, for you see, they are the deepest part of me. Until today, I wasn't sure of just how much I could endure. But now I found, with thanks to you, I'm stronger than I ever knew. And I offer that poem because it really speaks to the resilience that our community has shown through 2020, through the ups and downs of all the challenges and uncertainties we've faced during this time. Since January, normally we have a gala. This would have been our 29th gala. Since January, we've had a group, our Gala Committee, working tirelessly to plan a gala and then plan small gatherings and then now plan a virtual celebration, all the while raising money through our sponsors. And so I'd like to welcome Margaret Curran and Cindy Bostic, our Gala Committee co-chairs, to recognize our sponsors and celebrate those that have helped out. So Cindy, take it away.
A wonderful Gala Committee this year. They worked as a team, thinking outside the box to support this event. I would like to recognize and thank them now. Jessica Borzarelli, Mary Cochran, Carrie Dixon, Suzanne Freeling, Gigi Gardner, Jeanette Gurka, John Hove, Margaret Smith, Roseanne Smith, Andrea Tober, Cindy Toms, and Christy Wernergreen. And now I'd like to recognize some of the sponsors who have made this event possible. Our title sponsor is Mortgage Solutions Financial. Our trombone sponsor is Vituity. Our saxophone sponsor is the St. Mary Medical Center medical staff. Our trumpet sponsors are Anonymous and Curran Electric. Our 5 French horn sponsors are ICR Staffing, Martinez and Okamoto Architects, Mitsubishi Cement, Molina Healthcare, and Siebert Electric. Co-chair Margaret Curran will now continue sponsor recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Sorry, I lost my place. Here we go. Our base sponsors this year are Apple Valley Communications, Cal Portland, Desert City Dialysis, New Hope Podiatry, and Walmart. Our invitation sponsors are CMEX and Liberty Utilities. Our cocktail sponsor is HG Realty. Our wine sponsor is Cooley Construction. Our award sponsors are Christian Bell Electric and Robar Enterprises. And finally, our decor sponsors, Cali Auto Glass, Desert Community Bank, High Desert Alarm, St. John of God Healthcare Service, and Stewart's United Agencies Insurance. We are so grateful to our sponsors, as well as those who have supported us in a significant way. And we will be delivering a token of our appreciation to you in the next week or so.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Margaret and Cindy, for your leadership. Thank you for your vision for this year. And really your flexibility of continuing to move forward our mission in the high desert, even in a very challenging, uncertain time. And if you're calling in tonight and you're a sponsor or a donor to our electrophysiology lab, thank you. We are so sincerely grateful for the support you've given us. We really couldn't do this work without you. And so now I want to introduce my first guest this evening, which is our Chief Executive of St. Mary Medical Center, Randy Castillo. So Randy, if you want to join me, we'll have a seat here. Thanks for being here with us.
My pleasure.
We get to sit, right?
Yeah, we get to sit. You get to relax a little bit, unlike the rest of us that they make us sweat. So, well, Randy, so you've been here just over a year, right?
14 months.
14 months. Wow. So as you reflect on the year, what are your takeaways? You know, what can you tell us about the hospital, about the community?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, the community is what I expected. This is home. So it's nice to be home. And the one thing I knew about the high desert was there is a family approach. And what I see in the community is what I see actually at the hospital, at the ministry. You know, the caregivers, it's one big family. We rally around each other and we support one another. So we have some challenges, but at the end of the day, it is one big happy family.
That's great. Yeah, it's really been remarkable to see our community and our caregivers come together to endure what presented as a challenging year, but I think showed inner strength, thinking back to that reflection of the oak tree, that we found strength that maybe we didn't know we had. And so knowing COVID in mind, as you look to, I mean, it's hard to project, but as you think about the next 3-6 months, I know there's concerns in the news about whether or not, you know, we're going to see another spike, if the holidays are going to, you know, what is your view as the leader of one of the major healthcare organizations in the high desert of what's on the horizon?
Well, it depends on who you want to listen to, right? For me, you know, you always want to lead and follow science. And what a lot of the models predict is, you know, you're going to see continued spikes up and down. And until we can get to a real vaccine, we're going to have to, this is kind of the new norm. So, you know, we just have to buckle in for the long haul. And, you know, to think that it's going to end in 2020 is probably unrealistic. So will it go into 2021 or 2022, as Dr. Fauci would say? Who knows? But, you know, we're better prepared. We have the knowledge. And again, let's follow the science.
Yeah. So if people are listening in and they think, well, what can I do to protect myself and my family? What are some of the things that you would suggest that we should sort of stay the course on in a way to protect each other?
Well, I think we hear it all the time, you know, socially distance, you know, let's wash our hands, let's mask, let's avoid large gatherings. Now you're really seeing the investigative reporting where they can attribute, you know, a wedding of 60 actually affecting, you know, 200 plus. And it's amazing that they could do that. But, you know, again, if you were to follow the science, you know, the large gatherings are very challenging. And You know, I know people are tired. I know people are think this is some kind of fluke, but you know, when I go around and see our caregivers exhausted, frustrated, tired, because you know the waves of patients keep coming. You know, if people would just do their part, then we could kind of curb this infection and hopefully manage it until the vaccine comes.
That's great. Well, I hope that happens. I hope we can stay the course and not see any other drastic effects from this. You know, the other day I was driving down the freeway and I saw a billboard talking about a partnership between St. Mary Medical Center and Loma Linda, and tying back to, I know when you got here, this was sort of a vision of yours.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested to hear, you know, what's that all about? What's that partnership mean, and why is that important for our community?
Yeah, it is interesting. I do remember making that promise, kind of a bold promise. But let me take a step back. One of the things that I knew about our medical community here in the high desert is that it is severely underserved. It is a fact that a lot of our residents here in the high desert travel down the hill to seek out care. You know, if you need neurosurgery, if you need certain specialties, these just don't exist here. And when you look down the hill, you know, you always want to find a partner because to try to do something on your own is probably going to take some time or nearly impossible. The reason why I made that bold promise about Loma Linda is, number one, they're a faith-based organization. You know, when your mission and vision closely align, then you can get past that initial hurdle of, are they the right partner? It's kind of like dating, right?
Yeah.
It's like, do I want to go on a second date? And we did that for quite some time, and we realized that, you know, we have similar goals, and on top of that, similar values. So Loma Linda answered the call to help us, and to be able to bring a world-class cardiovascular surgical program, you know, from Loma Linda up to the high desert means it's one less step for you to gain access to that expertise.
Wow, that's really remarkable as you think about the quality of care that Loma Linda is known for. I mean, they're top-notch, world-class care. And so if I'm an average person in the community, I'm not in the hospital, I don't know what's going on, and I have a heart issue, when might I encounter a Loma Linda cardiovascular surgeon?
Well, number one, you have to, you know, and we have plenty of cardiologists. So you have to go to your cardiologist or your primary care physician, and they will refer you to that expertise when it's time. You know, to go straight to Loma Linda probably would be premature because, again, you have to be cared for by a primary care physician or your cardiologist, and then they'll let you know when it's time. So that's again, now, if you're one of our high desert residents that have primary care down in Loma Linda, you know, instead of having surgery down the hill, you know, the great thing is you could have the surgery up in St. Mary now.
Wow. That's remarkable, and that shows a lot of progress. So thank you for your leadership and vision in bringing that to fruition. Now, there's another little part of this that I already mentioned, and it's this term electrophysiology. And we've, as a foundation, have been working on electrophysiology all year long because we want to help you fulfill that vision of adding electrophysiology to our community. And so what is it? That's a big mouthful word. What is that?
It's a sexy term for treating atrial fibrillation.
Okay.
So we all know that your body's made up of certain impulses. Your heart is an electrical impulse that makes it contract. You know, surprisingly, there's a lot of people that have irregular heart rhythm, and you know, there's a myriad of other medical issues that can lead to something more serious if you don't treat it. It is a fact that, you know, there's not a comprehensive electrophysiology or even an advanced electrophysiology program here in the high desert. So it's very, as we've gone around in the community, we hear the stories where people travel to either Santa Monica or, you know, down in Cedar Sinai or down in Loma Linda. And again, you know, one of my biggest, probably lofty goals is to prevent that travel down the hill. Not that I'm going to have an answer to every problem, but if it makes sense and we could start the program, such as electrophysiology, then we will do it. And again, we're on the cusp of starting a very advanced program at St. Mary.
Yeah, wow, that's remarkable. And I was talking with a cardiologist recently, and I asked him, I said, what are the most common heart problems in the high desert? Because he sees the gamut, from very minor to very significant. And he said it really comes down to one of two things. You either have a plumbing issue or you have an electrical issue. And really, until now, we've only been treating the plumbing issues in the high desert, and these electrical issues get shipped out. So correct me if I'm wrong, but electrophysiology treats an irregular heartbeat. But what causes an irregular heartbeat is when the nerves are sort of misfiring and causing your heart to get out of sync and out of rhythm. They're tying to our theme today.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
so it's bringing that electrical part of the heart treatment into our community and keeping people close to home. And so that's remarkable. You mentioned though that if you have an irregular heartbeat, which seems sort of benign when you say it out loud, but that can create other more severe forms of disease. What is that? What are those other more severe forms?
Probably the most serious one is stroke, or even death, right? I
Wow.
mean, so you see the commercials now where they talk about. Remember, when your heart is misfiring, you need the constant pressure of your heart to pump blood through. But when your heart is not pumping regularly, then your blood will pool. Well, let's say you have plaque in your blood, right? That's how you end up with clots. So, if you now, as people become aware of it, you actually, if you pay attention to some of the commercials from these drugs and, some of these other companies, then you start making the connection, right? So right now, I just saw one of the procedures that is gaining a lot of attention. It's called the Watchman procedure. And just yesterday, I saw the commercial for Watchman. And the average, which surprises me because your average patient will not understand that unless they go to an electrophysiologist.
Right.
So.
Wow, that's incredible. So right now we're kind of on the cusp of getting this service. This will be run by Loma Linda electrophysiologists, right? So it'll be kind of expanding that partnership.
Well, I think that's, and I want to reassure the medical community that yes, Loma Linda electrophysiologists will be here, but if there's a local independent physician that can perform electrophysiology and can benefit from the lab, they're free to use it as well. So it benefits not only the experts that we're going to bring up here, but the local community. There might be some that have been waiting for this equipment.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that's incredible. And I think I was talking with one of our board members who we'll hear about a little bit later, and he was saying that until he had electrophysiology, he had to take all sorts of different drugs, blood thinners, specific arrhythmia-specific drugs. He had to get a pacemaker inserted. And so there's all these different treatments that can be options for an irregular heartbeat or AFib, but they all have side effects. They all have negative side effects and make you feel drowsy. They can cause issues. Having irregular heartbeat can cause anxiety for people that are struggling with that. And then you have issues of non-compliance because, well, if that makes me feel bad, I don't want to take that medicine, right? And so we'll hear a little later from someone on our board about their experience with that. But it's amazing because this procedure, when he got it done, it almost eliminated his irregular heartbeats.
And I believe that board member had to travel to Santa Monica.
Exactly. To another Providence hospital. So at least it was in the family.
Yeah. And let me just kind of pause there for a second, because why is it important for you not to have to travel so far? For me, this really goes back to you as the patient, our patient. When a patient has to travel, let's say to the valley, right? Then number one, I probably won't be traveling by myself because after the procedure, somebody has to drive me home.
Right.
Let's say it's a more complex procedure and you have to stay there. Then our community, these individuals have to find the means to be able to find a hotel, stay there. You're not in the comfort of your own home. So to be able to do it locally has much more benefit in terms of supporting you as a patient, supporting, again, our community, and preventing that travel that's unnecessary.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think back on this year and so thankful for the passion, the vision, and the leadership you've brought to our community. I mean, just what a year you got dealt, and you've made, you sort of made lemonade out of lemons in a lot of ways. And so I look back and I think you've inspired our caregivers, you've given them strength and resilience. You've formed new partnerships during a time when healthcare was in crisis. And you are enabling us to expand our services to care for people close to home, and that's just amazing. And so, so I just want to thank you. You've brought some amazing opportunities for us.
Actually, it's the opposite. Our caregivers is what inspires me.
Yeah.
And when you walk around the ministry and you see, again, the dedication, the camaraderie, the frustration, we have to do better. And it starts with our caregivers, who are heroes. Yeah. I mean, it's simply stated. Right?
Yeah, they absolutely are heroes. At the start of this event tonight, I mentioned that the foundation has been working diligently to raise funds for electrophysiology and to build this lab. And this is not a fundraising event, but if you're inspired this evening to make a gift to support the electrophysiology lab that we've been talking about, you can go to supportstmaryav.org. That's supportstmaryav.org. And we would be grateful, whatever you'd like to do to support this important expansion for our community. So in our advertising, we promise 2 big giveaways. And so you get to draw the name for the first lucky winner. And so I want to tell our audience what the giveaway is. And so this first one is a week-long trip to Sedona, Arizona, one of my personal favorite places. And it's at a resort called Los Abrigados Resort and Spa. And it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And so I'm just going to read this really quick, and then you'll get to draw the lucky name. We'll announce the winner. It says, discover a desert oasis at Los Abrigados Resort and Spa in the heart of Sedona's radiant Red Rock country, which, if you've been there, is just remarkable. Relax in the on-site spa, uncover your wild side on one of Sedona's famous hiking trails, or explore the nearby Arts and Crafts Village. I can't say the name of it for the life of me, but it's a really amazing place for a look at the local culture. And so this offers golf, it offers all sorts of wonderful things. And so now we're not being high tech here, but we do have well over 100 names of people that are participating on the call tonight. So I'll kind of mix it up here, but you get to draw the lucky winner.
So I get to draw who's going to take me to Sedona?
There you go.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, you get to. They have these Jeep tours. They'll take you on one, and then they'll leave you to drive home.
All right.
So who's our lucky winner?
It's Amity Childress.
Amity Childress, congratulations. Hope you have a wonderful trip in Sedona. Randy does fit in the back seat, maybe in the trunk, and he's ready to join you. So congratulations, Amity. Thank you for joining us for this. And if you are the winner tonight, if your name's Amity, feel free to make a comment. We'd love to hear from you. So with that, we're going to take a very brief break because we have this amazing band. We want you to enjoy one of their songs, and hang tight because when we get back, we'll be with Assemblyman Jay Obernolte to hear important updates about our state and the health of our community. So enjoy the band.
Everything I do is bad for me. Everything I do is bad for me. All my nasty habits just won't let me. I like to drink, I just like smoking. They say it's gonna kill me. There ain't no joke. Hey, hey, hey. Thing I do is bad for me. All my nasty habits just won't let me. I like a girl, yeah. Don't like a lot, yeah. But if I mess up, my lady's gonna have this shot, yeah, yeah, yeah. The thing I do is bad for me. All my nasty habits just won't let me be.
Well, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that brief intermission with the Albert Miranda Project. They certainly rock the house, and they're a lot of fun bands. So hope you enjoyed that. We're so grateful that we have been joined this evening by State Assemblyman Jay Obernolte. So Jay, thanks for joining us. Glad to have you.
Absolutely, it's an honor.
Yeah. So how have you been doing?
Oh, busy, very,
Yeah.
very busy. Yeah.
Well, I can imagine you might be. So, this has been a really interesting year. It's been a challenging year. And so as you look back on 2020, I'm just curious, what are some of the key takeaways? What have we learned from this year? If we think about obstacles, victories at the state level.
I think everyone would agree that this has been an incredibly challenging year. And I think that a lot of people would like to hit the rewind button and kind of forget that it ever happened. But we have learned something really, really important. And that's that we all have an obligation to take care of each other. I think that sometimes in modern society, we look at systemic societal problems and we assume that somebody else is going to take care of that. We look at homelessness, we think, oh, well, the county's there for that. We look at someone that needs assistance, we think the state government's there for that. We look at, someone that needs psychological care and we think that, that maybe someone else is going to step in. But I think what coronavirus has taught us is that that's not true and it will never be true. Government can never take away our own responsibility to take care of each other. And when you look at the members of our community that have stepped up to that obligation, it's truly, truly heartwarming. I can't tell you how many constituent stories I've heard of people who were ill and neighbors got together and delivered meals to their doorstep. Someone's, elderly parents passed away, unfortunately, and they didn't have money for a funeral, set up an account, and the community stepped in and made that happen for them. So I really hope that we emerge from this crisis with a better sense of community, because it's so important that we all realize that at the end of the day, we're on the same team.
Wow. I think that's an amazing vision for our community. And I'm just curious, as you think about at a state level, are there stories of, you share the food, are there other stories of where people have come together? I think right now, I imagine our audience would love to hear any stories that really bring people together and are heartening, because we're coming off of a challenging year.
Yeah, well, I think that if you want to see where you can be most effective, it's you look around at the needs that you see. And I think that we sell ourselves short quite often because we think about the big problems. And we think, well, who am I to solve those big problems? What can I possibly do to affect change on that macro level? And we don't realize that no one is watching the small game, the little micro needs that exist all around us. And I think those are the stories that are the most heartwarming, are the ones where we've seen community members say, I might not be able to engineer a vaccine, I might not be able to lower coronavirus rates, but what I can do is help this person who I can see right in front of me that has a need. And I really think that that's been inspirational.
Yeah, and I think of my own community where I live in Wrightwood, and there's a restaurant in town that found 40 seniors, elderly folks, that they deliver 3 meals a day to just to take care of them. And those are the stories, to your point, that really are heart touching. And so it's remarkable. Now, I think of this year and I wonder, there's so many negative things that have happened. There's so many reasons to be really down on 2020. But what enduring things might we see in our state? What things will we carry forward? What good might come out of 2020 that we can anticipate, in the coming years?
Well, I think that there is a lot of good that's going to come out of this year and going to come out of the coronavirus crisis. Dare I say, as you probably know, I'm vice chair of the Assembly Budget Committee. So anything to do with dollars and cents in Sacramento, I'm deeply involved in. And so we have been watching very closely how the economy of the state has responded to the coronavirus crisis. And I'll tell you one thing that's positive that's come out of it is that this crisis is changing the way that people are employed in ways that are never going to go back to the way they were before. And I'm talking about good ways. So that we're going to see a lot more telecommuting. People are realizing, and companies are realizing, that sometimes it's more efficient to have someone offsite doing work from their home, that there are a lot of jobs that can be adapted to be able to make that kind of work model work for people. And for our community here, I think that is really, really encouraging because we have some incredible benefits. We have beautiful weather. We have a relatively low cost of living, especially we have a low cost of housing for California. People can afford to live here on a moderate income and actually own a home for their families. And yet many of them commute over the Cajon Pass every day to be able to get to their jobs, which is not a very high quality of life when you're spending that much time in traffic. But I think what's going to come out of this is people are going to realize they can live anywhere they want. And so they're going to live places like Wrightwood or Apple Valley. They're going to say, I can afford a home there. I want to raise a family there. And I think that that's going to be a really positive outcome.
Yeah, and it's amazing because for a while there, when the COVID pandemic hit, the Cajon Pass was actually quite empty. And I remember that for a brief moment. And then right about May, you saw it fill up again. And even now, trying to get down the Cajon Pass in the morning is just miserable in terms of trying to make that happen. And so I don't envy people that have to do that commute. And you hear people that drive to LA for work and you think, wow, how do you do that? Wow, what commitment to their families and to their livelihood.
Yeah, and so that's you've hit the nail on the head. That's what the sacrifice that some people make to be able to have their family live comfortably in a home rather than cooped up in an apartment, and they're willing to spend a couple of hours on the highway every day to make that happen.
Yeah,
but perhaps in the future that won't be required.
I hope not. And I know you come from a tech background, and so are there other areas of technology that you see being accelerated during this time? Sort of post, or I guess in the midst of the pandemic, do you think we're going to have other technologies that will really be broadly implemented? I mean, here we are on Zoom, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so these are things that I think are getting implemented far and wide. And I'm just curious, your perspective as a tech guy.
So another area that I think technology is really going to fundamentally transform, and it's been catalyzed by the coronavirus crisis, is education. So, we are tied up until now to this centuries-old educational model that says that to learn, people have to come to the same place and get together in a classroom and have, an instructor stand up in front and teach the class. And I think that as a result of many of these government-mandated shutdowns of schools, we're starting to realize that although there are settings where that is helpful and sometimes required, there are a lot of educational settings where it's actually more efficient to not do it that way, to maybe have a class via Zoom. Maybe have an asynchronous class where you've got a message board and you communicate that way. Maybe have instruction and lectures occur in a way that's asynchronous, but not with one instructor, where you've got the very best instructor, of all time giving the lecture on each individual segment of what you're learning. So, I mean, I think it's really going to be revolutionary.
Wow.
And it's amazing what you can do. I just finished, actually this week, I finished defending my dissertation for my doctorate. And that was a program that I did. It took me 3 years, but it was a completely distance learning program other than my residencies. So, I think that can be really an empowering tool for a lot of people, because if you think about education as the great equalizer, And yet education heretofore has been really expensive. But if you look at a distance learning model, it doesn't have to be expensive. It could be something that everyone has access to. So I find that very exciting.
So next time I see you, do I have to call you doctor?
Well, technically, you can call me doctor now. But that's not why I
Well,
did it.
everyone, Dr.
That's
Overnolte
right.
for the first time publicly,
Thank
right? That's great. So the last topic I want to focus on, because it's all over the news, is the health of our communities and really the health of our state. And so what are your thoughts on how can we improve the health of our state? How can we improve the health of our community? What does that look like to you?
Well, I mean, I assume we're talking about, I mean, health is, can be pretty
Yes.
broadly defined, but talking about health care,
Sure.
I think that there's a lot we can learn from this crisis. And one way is to use technology to empower better healthcare outcomes for people, which I think is something that we are learning through coronavirus, because one of the things we've learned is the last thing you want is a bunch of sick people to come together, or if you suspect you might be sick, to have that person go to a setting where we know there are other sick people. It does not work that way. It does not work well. So telehealth, I think is something that is really in its infancy right now. But if you look at the spectrum of what we can accomplish with telehealth, it's amazing. I mean, we can achieve better healthcare outcomes and make them far less expensive for people, and use that to empower making it more accessible to people. And as being in the healthcare field here, the more accessible we can make preventive healthcare to people, the more we can prevent the negative long-term healthcare outcomes that happen now when you ignore problems like high blood pressure, when you ignore problems like diabetes. Those are things very easily treated, but you need to know about them, and you need to have a commitment to treating them. And that's something that telehealth can really help with, I think. But in addition, I think that in this country, we are going to have to take a serious look at the way that government is involved in healthcare. I think it really, we've learned some very frightening things about the effect that our government has on our healthcare markets that I think are lessons that we need to take to heart. There was a study just a couple of years ago done. It was the most comprehensive study on healthcare outcomes ever, comparing different countries against each other. And it took 21 different healthcare outcome factors and kind of made a weighted performance metric of those, and then ranked them all against each other. And the United States came in 33rd out of all the countries in the world. I mean, we're talking about behind countries like Greece, behind countries like Cuba. And yet, healthcare is more expensive in the United States than any other country, bar none, not even close. We spend over 18% of our gross domestic product on healthcare. And to give you an idea, the UK, that has a completely socialized healthcare system, they spend about 10%. The number one country in that survey for healthcare outcomes that we were talking about was Singapore. They spend less than 5% of their GDP on healthcare.
Wow.
So, I mean, we have to take a look at the role that our government has played in making healthcare so expensive and so inaccessible here in the United States, and really do some soul searching about that, because the things that we can accomplish with modern medicine are just going to accelerate. And we need to make sure that everybody has access to all of those wonderful benefits.
Wow, that's a remarkable vision. And something we talk about in healthcare often is improving access. And I love what you're saying around access through technology, access through insurance and different programs. But for so many people in our country, just getting access is the hardest part. And so thank you. I mean, I know as a leader in our state and in our country, you're taking that to heart and leading the way and trying to improve that access. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's our responsibility as leaders to take a look at the factors that are causing those problems for the people that we represent, and scratch our heads and try and figure out, what are the solutions to these? And again, I mean, it's not, the wheels of progress sometimes turn very slowly, particularly when we talk about big government entities like state government and federal government. But I think that if we realize these are systemic problems that need to be solved, these are problems that can be solved, and ultimately, regardless of political spectrum or ideology, we're all on the same team. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to sit down and solve them together.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing all these insights. As I think back of what you said so far, I think of communities coming together. I think of broader implementation of technology and many good things that are going to come out of this year, which for many has been a very devastating year. And so that was part of the point of this virtual celebration, is to pull the good out of this year. And so thank you for sharing that vision and sharing that insights. One thing we do each year at St. Mary's is we honor somebody with a Spirit Award. And a Spirit Award is somebody that has really shown a commitment to improving the quality of life in our community, not just at St. Mary's, but in our community. And secondly, the second criteria is they do exemplify the mission, vision, and values of St. Mary Medical Center, and now our Providence parent organization, Providence. And so we want to share a quick video. I had the honor of speaking recently with our Spirit Award recipient this year, and we want to share a quick video with our audience of that interview. And so with that, I'll pass it to our tech leader. Peter, glad you could join us today. And at what point did you get to know St. Mary Medical Center? How'd you get connected here?
I've known Mike Page for many years. Mike really was the one who introduced me to the foundation. And since then, I've become quite involved in helping the foundation to succeed.
So I'm curious, from your standpoint, why do you think it's important that we have this sort of expanded service for the high desert with electrophysiology? Do you think it's important to have this close to home for people here in the community?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how many people have electrical issues with their heart, but, you know, even if it's 4% or 3% of the population, there's a lot of people out there who are at risk for strokes. And the faster, obviously, that you treat a stroke, the more likely it is that you survive it. But
so the nice thing for this year is this is going to be a new service at St. Mary's, and the foundation has taken this on as one of our major funding priorities during 2020. And throughout that, you decided to really invest in this for the community. And I'm just curious, as a donor and someone who's making an investment in this service, what motivated you to be so generous to make this happen? What's underlying that for you?
Well, I suppose fundamentally it's the fact that you agreed to put my name on it.
Always helps.
I mean, from an ego point of view, it's nice to have your name on something that goes on for after you die, you know. I think it's so critically important for people in the high desert, and especially people in Apple Valley, that they have this service locally, that they can get here, get it taken care of, and spend 1 or 2 nights and then get home quickly. So I decided to, go ahead and donate the money.
Well, we're so grateful you did, because you're making this service happen. You're enabling us to expand this partnership with Loma Linda and bring this to our community. And so I think that's a really amazing thing. You know, every year our executive team does really a deep dive on thinking about who should be our Spirit Award winner for the year. And after reviewing so many different names and talking about different people in the community and people that have donated to St. Mary's, we selected you. And I know you were kind of caught off guard, but we thought that your commitment to Rotary, to the town, to the chambers, to the college and the hospital, and really your alignment with our values really spoke to the Spirit Award. So I just want to first congratulate you as this year's Spirit Award recipient, because we truly think that you exemplify our mission and values, and we're so thankful for all you do to support our community.
Well, I sincerely appreciate the award. I don't feel that I've done much more than anybody else has. I'm dedicated to the town of Apple Valley. I want Apple Valley to be a successful community, and the hospital is part of that community.
Well, thank you, Peter. You've been such a good mentor and partner to me since I came here 2.5 years ago. And I know that you are a really valued leader in our community. So thank you for all you do for us, but for all you do for everyone in the community. We're so grateful.
Thank you very much.
I just want to thank Peter for his years of service, his commitment to our community, and his commitment to St. Mary Medical Center. And so, Jay, you want to join me in recognizing
Absolutely.
Peter? Congratulations, Peter. Thank you for all you do for our community. So with that, we're going to move to our last giveaway. And this one, for many people, is maybe the most exciting. Because if you know Don Lager at Midway Home Solutions, he's on the radio more than anybody I know in this community, Jay. And for us, he was so generous that he decided to give us a $2,500 home makeover to one person that's called into our virtual celebration this evening.
Wow.
Pretty remarkable, right? And so I think of, well, if I were to get that, you know, what couch would I get? How would I make over my kitchen? There's a lot of things I might do. And so you get the opportunity to draw the lucky winner for the $2,500. So who's it going to be?
Okay, don't shoot the messenger. All right, drum roll.
Drum roll, here we go.
Monica Loiza Arcia.
Monica Liza
Arcia.
Liza Arcia. Well, Monica, if you're online, put a note in the comment. Congratulations. We will reach out to you with your $2,500 gift certificate to Midway Home Solutions to do that important home makeover that you've been waiting to do. So to conclude our evening, I want to end with a big note of gratitude. This year has been unprecedented. It's been challenging for so many people. And so to our caregivers, I want to thank you for your courage, for your resilience, and for your commitment to caring for our community. As Randy said when we talked, you've shown such commitment to our patients and their loved ones. And so thank you for those of you that are on our call tonight. To our community leaders, I want to say thank you to leaders like Jay that have endorsed policies that protect the health and wellness of our community each day. And to our donors, I want to thank you for sticking with us in a year of economic uncertainty, in a year of crises left and right. You've continued to give generously, and so we're so incredibly thankful for your commitment to St. Mary Medical Center and the mission we feel here in the High Desert community. And so thank you. As I mentioned earlier, this is not a fundraising event, but if you do feel compelled to support St. Mary Medical Center, you can go to supportstmaryav.org, and we would be grateful to anything you might offer to support our new electrophysiology lab that will be going in soon at St. Mary Medical Center. So with that, I want to thank you for joining us. We miss you terribly. We wish we could be with you, but we're so glad you could join us here this evening. And I want to pass it back to our band, who for the next about 10 minutes, they're going to rock us out with some fun blues music. So thank you, everyone, and have a great evening.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
child, I was 25 years old. And my second friend went down, I was about 25 years old. There's one thing I can say about that boy, man, he sure got cold. I said the blues are alright. If there's someone let you play that game. The blues are alright. If there's someone let you play that game. All my friends are missing, and somehow things just don't seem the same. Don't seem the same.
Let's do burglar.
She's a burglar. She broke into my mind. She's a burglar. Took everything she found. She's a burglar. She walked right in my house. She's a burglar. They'll probably do the same to you, yeah. She's a burglar. She broke into my room. She's a burglar. Took everything she could. She's a burglar. She broke into my heart. She's a burglar. She probably do the same to you. I gave her everything. All she needed was more. Just like that, my heart was gone. Put it in store. All she needed was more. Just like that, my heart was gone. She put it so. All she needed was more. Just like that, my heart was gone. She put it so.